It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer, and today we got a cold IPA to show you. And this is from Bad Seed Brewing Company in Denmark. It's called Cryogenesis, a cold IPA hopped with Mosaic, Simcoe Cryo, Chinook and Columbus. It's coming in at 6.5% ABV, and it's got a seal bouncing the world on its head. So there's a look at the beer then. Without further ado, let's get this beer out into a glass and see what we get. I do like a cold IPA. Although these styles of beer, they come, I've not had a cold IPA in many months. Many months. They seem to come and go, unfortunately. There's always talk of the next big thing in craft beer. But nothing seems to be able to knock New England IPA off its perch. It just seems to be the kind of the landmark now where everybody kind of wants to go to. So we got a one finger white head, good levels of carbonation on this one, and it's slightly hazy. With good levels of carbonation rising up the glass. The reason for my pause there was I'm just seeing if there's any sediment in the bottom of the glass, but it doesn't seem to be any at the moment, but there might be some in the bottom of the can. We'll have a look in a moment. So cold IPA. Cold IPA is, from what I know of cold IPA, and it's very basic knowledge, is it's an IPA that's been kind of almost cold stored like a lager. So it's almost gone through a bit of a lagering process. Straw coloured, nice and hazy. Let's get the aroma. And it almost gives off the same feel as lager too. But this one's really lemony, grapefruit-like, orange peel-like. Tangerine. We'll talk about cold IPA and we might talk about brut IPA in a moment, but first of all, let's get into this beer then. Cheers, everybody. This kind of a little bit, that first taste, kind of reminds me of a brut IPA. It's almost got that kind of same slightly higher, slightly elevated levels of carbonation. It's a little kind of hissy and fizzy on the tongue. And then you get them real kind of like almost kind of sharp, raw hops coming through. It's almost like an evolution of a cold IPA is almost like the evolution of the brut IPA. Lots of upfront flavours of grapefruit, orange peel, like biting on peels. Like you got some grapefruit peel in one hand, you got some orange peel in the other. You're rubbing the two together and you're kind of just getting it in your face. It's almost kind of that very similar kind of like biting on pithy peel. It's nice. I like it. I like that sort of thing. I do like those more bitter, if you like. I do like almost like a West Coast IPA, or almost like that kind of full-on zesty westy. Just come up with that now. It's good. A little bit of sweetness to begin with, a little bit of bitterness on the back end. Very good beer. Let's have a look then. Let's see. Now there's a little bit more haze. So that means there's probably a little bit more flavour that's made its way into the glass. But looking at the bottom of the glass, no, there's no lumps and chunks. There's definitely not any even small grains of of sediment that I can see. It's just kind of like micro filtered. It looks good. It looks really good. Smells fantastic. Lots of flavour coming out on the kind of the aroma of the beer. Lots of taste coming through. But, of course, if you're new to beer, you're probably going to be asking the question, if you're kind of absolutely new to beer, what's New England IPA? What's Brut IPA? What's Cold IPA? What is he talking about? What is even IPA? So IPA is India Pale Ale. It was brewed hundreds of years ago in the UK. It was brewed here, brewed quite strong to make the journey from England to India, back when we had our kind of empire, the British Empire going on, when we had lots of trade around the world. And yeah, we used to brew these IPAs to be able to take to India to last the journey, so they were strong. So we call it India Pale Ale. And then, of course, India Pale Ale nearly died out in the 1990s, early 2000s, until the Americans come along. I'm being very brief here. Sierra Nevada come along, and they kind of almost reintroduced Stone Brewing Company, Sam Adams. They kind of relaunched IPA in America, with lots of American hops, lots of fruity American hops. And we had West Coast IPAs, which were the really kind of hoppy, bitter stuff, almost a little bit like this. This is quite bitter on the back end. And then we had a new starter beer come out called New England IPA, which was less bitter. All the flavour was in the middle, and it was kind of like very tropical and soft with next to no bitterness. And that beer style has remained unchallenged, if you like, for probably the best part of 8 years now. So I talked about Brut IPA earlier on. Brut IPA was a 2017-2018 attempt to knock off the New England IPA off its perch. I never really liked Brut IPA. I always thought it was a bit harsh, it was a bit weird. Then this Cold IPA is another attempt at knocking New England IPA off its perch. I like it, and I like the fact that brewers are trying new things all the time with IPA. It would be a boring world, wouldn't it, if we just stuck to the same thing over and over and over again. So it's good that the brewers are innovating. Would I drink Cold IPA regularly? The answer is I probably wouldn't. This is super tasty. It's super juicy, but it's edgy. It's edgy. It's kind of like really raw with that kind of like orange peel and lemon peel. It's like it really is. You're kind of chucking these peels in your mouth, and it's like, oh, you know, it's really full on. It's nice to have one. It's nice to have one every now and again, but I don't think I could drink it regularly. And I don't think New England IPA's got anything to worry about anytime soon. Drinking it on a 1 can basis, it's nice. It's nice, it's decent, it's an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Would I want to drink it regularly? I've just said no, absolutely. I don't think I could kind of like session it. I don't think I could sit in the garden and drink that beer over and over all afternoon. I think I'd want to drink something else. And that's the reason for the 8 out of 10. But decent beer in its own right. I'd love to know your thoughts on cold IPA. Comment in the comments box. Please, comment, subscribe, boom, cheers.